spending the basically a year addressing your mental health and sort of going through that process, which is not an easy thing. I've talked about it a ton. I've been through it. It didn't start, I assume, in the Hawks series, but did the events of the Hawks series sort of trigger a deepening spiral or whatever was going on? Did it exacerbate the problem?
I think it was like, I'm already dealing with a lot mentally just in life, as a lot of people do. But it got to a point where after that series, I'm getting it's like from the people that you're supposed to have the support from or that, that comfort from. And I wasn't getting that either. So it was just a lot. It was a toll on me. And then mentally, it killed me. I was like, fuck, like no energy for anything. Like I was in a dark place. And it took me a long time. The first thing for me was like really identify like, okay, I got to really, I got to get right. And it's not a physical thing. It's mentally. And just, I think that first thing of acknowledging it is like a huge step for me. And I was like, okay, like I need to address this. I need help in these areas. And being able to do that, that was the start of, getting to where I'm at now. I'm like in a great place and I feel comfortable talking about it now. But those are some dark days for me. And especially, fuck, everything's public. Like that's the crazier part. But yeah, it's something that's like everyone goes through different struggles. Some bigger than others, but yeah, it's everyone, has their own battles. And I think that was tough for me, just knowing like I didn't really have that support either from teammates or whatever it was at that time.
No, call it like it is. Let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
And that I love Joel and that I love Doc, but like they essentially threw you under the bus after Game 7. Like that's indisputable.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, to both of you guys, doesn't it just objectively make sense that when you're in a work situation like that, no matter what it is, you would want to leave? Like, I don't know what job you're in where that kind of thing happens, where you would not want to look to do something different. You wouldn't want to just like opt right back into that situation after that kind of thing happens. It feels like everybody should want that. And I understand the dynamics of the NBA and the value of a player like you and everything like that. It's not going to happen overnight.
Tommy, you know that athletes aren't human beings, man. We don't operate the same way.
And I think that was a part of it too. Like people like, well, let's take his money. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the money. Like I don't care about the money. It's not about the money for me now. Like I want peace and happiness. Like I want to be in a good place. And that, if that costs me whatever it's going to cost, that's what it costs. Like my peace is more valuable than, money.
All right. I'm back with another one. Darrell's reactions, of course. I am Darrell. The video that you just watched was JJ Redick's other podcast. He actually got to get Ben Simmons to come on his podcast to discuss numerous of things in that podcast, and that podcast was over an hour. I want to say about an hour and 16 minutes. But that was just a piece of clip from Ben Simmons where he talked about his mental health and struggle and how he was feeling at that time in the dark days. And this is one of the things that we're going to have to, accept as human beings, that, a lot of things going to be wrong with us. A lot of things are going to be wrong, and us human beings, we're not perfect. So he went deep into discussion about how his personal mental health was in effect during his career up to this point, and he feels now that he's in a good place, and he looks good. He looks like he's in a good place. So, but I'm just going to give my thoughts briefly about that small clip on Ben Simmons. But before I do that, of course, this podcast, the video podcast, is courtesy of Double Take Sports Talk. If you ain't checked out our podcast, you go ahead and check it out on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, you can also check out our YouTube channel, search the box Double Take Sports Talk. We got videos, content there too. You can like our videos, subscribe to our channel too. And all the goody stuff. Share it, whatever. It's all good with us. But now let's go into my thoughts with Ben Simmons. So I've said this from the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. Nobody has the right to judge one man when it comes to mental health. Yes, he made a brutal mistake when Game 7 of that Hawks series came into effect. He made a brutal mistake, and he owned up to that. He went on the podcast, he owned to it. I didn't show you that clip, but he actually owned up to the fact, yes, he jacked that up. It came too fast for him. It's just one of those motions that you're going to decide, hey, if you're going to come from my side and you're going to come and try to attempt this, maybe if I pass it up, it'll be a better open look. But by him being 6'11 and Trae Young being 5'11, 6'1, somewhere of that sort, he could have, yes, easily done that in. But at the moment, when you're having mental health issues, when you're having a lot going on up here, you're not going to think clearly. And there are a lot of things that you are going to be able to kind of break down when it comes down to that moment. And by him actually addressing the mental health issue, the fact that he actually sat down and was like, hey, I got dark days even before the playoffs of Game 7. I was still having some dark days, dealing with a lot of stuff, and then coming in to actually the NBA and dealing with that nonsense. You have teammates, you have coaches that you're supposed to support that threw you under the bus for whatever reason, flat out, it's going to take a toll. It's good. It's going to kill you mentally. If you actually decided, like, if you was in a job that, you know, that your leaders threw you under the bus for whatever reason, they threw you under the bus because you felt like that you wasn't living up to your expectations, or they felt like that was their fault, but they're going to go ahead and just throw shade at you and throw you under the bus because they don't want to admit that they was wrong about something. One of those things that's going to happen is it's going to take a toll on you, and you're going to want to go somewhere else. You're going to be like, you know what? I don't feel like that my value is worth here. And that's exactly what Ben Simmons was dealing with. And that's why he left Philly. And one of the most important things that he said in that clip, if anybody paid attention, he said he didn't give three shits about the money. He didn't care about it. If money was going to cost him the cost at whatever price, he was going to accept that. But he rather deal with more peace and happiness. Those two key words, peace and happiness. That's where he stands. That's where he wanted to be. And he has every right to get to that step. When everybody else is out here throwing bricks at him for whatever reason, because y'all decided that, he didn't make the right decision like everybody else do when in their human life, or whatever decisions that they made, they may not make the right decision, but they have to own up to it. This is exactly what he was dealing with. Yeah, basketball's just entertainment. For them, it's a job. And I've been saying this for the longest. It's like Ben Simmons, if Ben Simmons is going to do something, he's going to do it. But if there's something wrong, something is wrong. Everybody had that innuendo. Everybody. Regardless to how you want to look at this picture, regardless to how you see that Ben Simmons was a traitor, yeah, you could look at it that way. But I sure in hell don't. I don't look at Ben Simmons as a traitor. I see Ben Simmons sitting right here, by far one of the best basketball players on the Philadelphia 76ers roster at the time. He was actually solid. He was solid. Now he's taking his talents to Brooklyn to where he can actually live up to the hype. He can actually, well, not live up to the hype, but he can actually sit down and be able to play with a clean conscience. Still, with a lot of things going on, he could be able to visualize a lot better. It's there. And he looked real solid in that interview. And for him to actually come on to talk to JJ Redick about it is really the bigger step to actually say, hey, I feel good, where I stand at right now, and I can actually sit down and talk about this without, getting angry or getting emotional that I want to cry a lot or I want to crawl back into my shell. He's actually owning up. Hey, this is my problem. This is what I've been dealing with, and now I'm better. I just want peace and happiness. This is all that I want. This is all I need, really. It's not even the fact of what you want, it's what he needs. So that's where he stands. That's where he deserves. Everybody deserves that. So for everybody that hating on Ben Simmons, fine. You continue to hate on him, but evidently there's something about him that makes him good. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to, you know, bring a lot of um downplay or anything like that. I'm just saying in this segment right now that everybody is going to make very bad decisions about what they do. Everybody. It's going to happen. Ben Simmons made one game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks. He did. He jacked it up. He should have dunked it. He admitted it. I knew he should have dunked it. JJ Redick said he should have dunked it. He's seen it. He's like, yeah, I should have. But everything flashed so fast. And when those type of things happen, you have to make those quick, fast decisions. You just have to. So, boom. That's my thoughts. And I'm ending it right here. And then the Darrell's reactions. Catch up with me next time. I'm going to discuss a couple of things too on the next episode. Developing story of the Boston Celtics head coach. I can't remember his name for nothing. I think it's Naim Udaka or something like that. It's likely that he's going to be suspended for the rest of for the whole entire season for an improper relationship, consensual improper relationship with a female staff on the team. But I will get into that also next week once we have more information. Right now, it's just developing. But of course, I'm Darrell. Till then, I'm out.